So today's episode on Blue, we're going to go ahead and take out the original 352 FE and get things prepped and ready for the Coyote swap. So before I go ahead and yank the 352 out, I got to go ahead and drain the radiator fluid, disconnect the radiator hoses, the AC lines, power steering lines, fuel line, to go ahead and take off the carburetor and disconnect the mini starter over there. Then we can start thinking about actually pulling it out. Also, I'll get this out of the way. So my buddy got me this new snap-on magnet here, and I didn't realize how strong it was until I put the wrench on it all the way, and I realized I was stuck, so I was struggling really bad here, and it kind of pissed me off. Now all the carburetor stuff is off, I'm going to take off the wiring. Also, I've been testing out the magnet with those bolts there. Maybe I'm testing my luck a little too much. It's a little sketchy to fall in the engine. Let's take them down. Alright, so I want to go ahead and disconnect the alternator wire and also the wires that are going to the mini starter down there. So before I do that, since they are live wires, I am going to go ahead and disconnect the battery here. I do have a quick release one here, so it should be pretty easy for me. So now the radiator is done dripping out, I'm going to start disconnecting the hoses. There's probably still fluid on the bottom, so I'm probably still going to make a mess. So let's see what happens. So now that the top radiator hose is out of the way, I just disconnected the bottom one. As you can tell, I made a big old mess. Most likely there's going to be a mess here too, so I'm going to take out the two heater hoses to see how big of a mess they make. Alright, so now that I have the radiator hoses off, the upper one is fully off, the bottom one is still connected to the water pump. I have the heater hoses tucked out of the way now. I'm going to work on the AC lines. These two fittings right here are going to come off, and there's a clamp back there. I'm going to tuck them all the way. So I knew the system was pressurized, but I didn't know what to expect when I was taking these hoses off. So let's see what happens. Yep, that scared me. So now that the AC lines are disconnected, I'm going to go ahead and take off the power steering lines. There's two fittings here, one off with just regular hose clamp, and one is actually screwed on. I'm going to go ahead and take off the hose clamp first and then work on the harder one after. Alright, here we go. 352 is almost ready to come out. I have all the AC lines disconnected, the power steering lines disconnected, radiator hoses disconnected, heater hoses disconnected, all electrical disconnected, which is all bundled up over there as you can tell, and I have the lines pulled out of the way. I'm going to try to keep the radiator in. I don't feel like taking it out because I'll have to disconnect the AC condenser in the front too as well, which would be a bigger headache than I don't want to do right now. I might regret it because I don't want to smack into it. When we pull the engine out, it's going to sway. So when I get an extra set of hands here, I'm going to pull it out. I'm also going to take off the hood so it goes straight up. But we'll see. I'm going to try to keep it on. Last two things I got to unbolt is the motor mounts now. and this should be ready to go. Almost forgot one thing. I'm going to go ahead and unbolt this. I don't feel like it's going to be able to hold it with all the weight, so I'm going to unbolt that and throw this on top of it. This should be able to hold it. I lifted the engine before with it, with the transmission, and it all bolted in there really easy. So let's try that out. Alright, here we go guys. Since the engine is so close to the radiator, I'm going to go ahead and pull off the headers. I don't want to worry about twisting the engine and moving it around and it puncturing a hole in the radiator, because it looks like the headers, the collector on the very end, sticks out a lot and it might hit the back of the firewall. So I'm going to go ahead and unbolt both sides and see if that makes it a little bit easier. Most likely will, so let's do that now. So I have both exhaust manifolds off now. This one's kind of resting on it because the engine's really free now, because it moves very easy now, which is pretty sketchy because it's just holding on by 2 bolts now, which is on the motor mounts. So now let's get the hood off, and then I'll get those 2 bolts off and let's yank it out.
Need Dad's help?
Want Daddy to do it?
No, don't start. Don't even start. So what I'm taking off now is the adapter plate that makes this FE engine go to the 6R80. This is for any FE engine and it's made by Speed Gems. So the reason why I'm taking off this adapter plate now, not leaving it on the engine, my buddy is actually taking the engine with him. He has other plans for it, so gotta get it out of the way. So that's when the realization kicked in that I'm actually getting rid of this engine. I've done a lot of work to this engine, so it kind of hurts. But then I remembered I'm putting a Coyote in this truck, so it's kind of not that bad. Alright, so now that I have a lot of room to work in here now, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these power steering lines. Alright, so now that I have these power steering lines off, I'm going to go ahead and get the fuel line off, these AC lines, and probably get these motor mounts out of the way. So a lot of work has been done in blue. She's getting there. Almost time for the Coyote swap. She's all prepped and ready. Let's get it done.